Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Sporting Cast podcast. I am your host, Lucas Red. Just a few short moments, we will have Austin Peterson of the Cleveland Guardians join the show. Austin was recently added to the Guardians 40-man roster. We'll talk to him about his early childhood days of playing baseball, why he got into the sport, and then we'll talk to him about his college journey. He wasn't the quickest and easiest road, but he found his way to be an All-American at the University of Connecticut, and eventually was drafted in the 9th round by Cleveland in 2022. Looking forward to having Austin on, share his journey, and give advice to future baseball players as well. Welcome back, everyone. Another episode of the Sporting Cast podcast. A new guest, a big one, a big week, a big couple weeks for this guy. He gets married in November, and last week he's added to the 40-man roster of the Cleveland Guardians. As I'm sitting here in bitter cold Indianapolis, this man's out training for the upcoming season out in Arizona. Please welcome Austin Peterson. Austin, how are you today, my man? Congrats on the last couple weeks.
I'm doing good. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
So, Austin, before we talk a little bit about your journey, talk to me more about the feeling of 2 weeks ago. You get the call, or I'm assuming it's a call, maybe an email, who knows in this day and age, but
yeah.
You're added to the 40-man roster. What's that like, man?
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty crazy. So, I mean, they have a deadline. I think it was 6 o'clock Eastern time is the deadline. So that's when they kind of have to have the 40-man roster set and everything. So I was actually dropping my wife off at the she was going to get her dress fitted. So I was sitting in a parking lot waiting up her, and it was 4:47 in Indiana, so up north. So there's like 13 minutes to spare, and so I mean, you're kind of sitting there thinking like, hey, are you getting the call or are you not? So I'm sitting there waiting, and phone rings, and like we're gonna add you to the 40-man. Really looking forward to it, all that good stuff, and honestly, that's that's one of the greatest moments that I've ever had. Obviously, it's everything you kind of work towards in baseball. It's obviously you're not in the big league yet, but I mean, you're right there knocking on the door, and you're always an option for the big league club at this point. So I mean, it was a pretty emotional time. I mean, kind of nice to have a little moment to myself, I would say, and then be able to go back and let the family know. And my wife came out of the shop and sees me in tears and kind of doesn't know if it's a good or bad thing. So it was a really sweet moment for us. And then obviously 5 days later I get married, so it was a really sweet week. So yeah,
I mean, I think the only thing better next week is when you get that call in a couple months up for the big leagues. But no, man, that's super cool. Can you kind of replay the day in your head, because obviously your mind's thinking about it the whole time. It's you're up against the wire, like you said, 13 minutes left. Is it something where are you trying to keep your mind off of it, or is it all you can really think about during the day?
Oh, I was 100% trying to keep my mind off of it. I mean, like I went and got a workout in. My cousin's a strength coach at DU, so at Balboa University. And so I was able to go up there and like work out when I was home and stuff. So I just kind of went up there. He didn't really know about it, so it was kind of nice because I just didn't have to get bombarded with questions about it. So it was easy to just kind of take my time and kind of do my own thing, work out, get my mind off of it. But I mean, it was always kind of like in the back of my head, like, have I done enough to get this opportunity? And so yeah, I mean, it was a long day to say the least, but ultimately had a good ending.
No, man, congratulations again. So again, you're not at your final goal, but there's a big step in your career as a professional and then just personally as well. But it's not easy, right? Not only is it not just playing in the minors, but getting to where you at, knowing your story a little bit. Take me back. Let's go back to originally of just how you got into baseball. Why'd you get into baseball? Then you found yourself at Purdue, and then, not a bumpy road, but just a different route of going where you went to. But taking back to your childhood and kind of walking through that, if you don't mind.
Yeah, it's nice. I mean, like once I got that call, it was easy to kind of take that time and take a step back and, reminisce on, when I did fall in love with baseball, like how appreciative I am of everybody who's like helped me along the way and really pushed me and, been there for me and fell in love with the game, like right alongside of me too. So, and it's kind of like the first time I really loved it. I mean, obviously, like I had brothers that are 9 and 7 years older than me, so it was kind of, as soon as I was born, they were playing already. So I was ultimately like born into the game. But I don't know if you remember Jazz Everett.
For sure. Yes.
He lived like right around the block from me.
Okay.
And so like growing up, he moved like probably like once he got to middle school. I think that was around the age I was trying to think about it, like when Jazz moved. But we kind of like fell in love with baseball together. Like it was like every single day I was over at Jazz's house and we were playing wiffle ball, playing backyard baseball on the computer on rainy days. Like, I remember we would do like full blown drafts of like, this is our lineup. And then we would like go up and try and, imitate the swings, whether it was like lefty or righty. And like, that was ultimately, I think, like, when I fell in love with the game. And that obviously you start playing a little bit in Little League and start getting a little bit more of a feel of like, hey, like I could be pretty good at this. But yeah, I mean, I think that was ultimately like when I fell in love with it. And then growing up and just like being able to watch a lot of really good athletes play with my brothers, that was, a lot of fun. Like watching Zach Novak play baseball. I know he's known as a basketball guy, but yeah, he's a freak athlete and a really good baseball player too. And then like Jake Post played with my middle brother. So it was, a lot of like growing up and watching these people do it and being like, I think I could do that too, So it was kind of, you have to be a kid always. And like, I never kind of lose that little kid that fell in love with the game, because when you do that, it just becomes a job. So.
No, man. I mean, first off, Zach Novak was a very good baseball player from what I remember. Obviously played basketball at Michigan, but was a good athlete. Forgot about Jake Post. He was a very good player as well. But no, when you talk about, playing like a kid, like have you caught or had any moments that where you almost see, oh my God, it feels like a job, but it's something that you have to, almost tell yourself to get back to that kid mindset, but also knowing it is your profession?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's definitely times like you're going up to the system, and I feel like, everybody goes through a phase where you're not happy with where you're at. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, it does become a little tough. Like minor league seasons, I mean, everyone knows like the major league season's 162 games. Minor league season, I mean, AAA was, I think, like 140 something. Like AA is right up there too. So I mean, it's a long season, so you're playing 6 out of 7 days a week. You get one off day. If you're lucky, you're not traveling on that off day. So, and I mean, but at the end of the day, like, yeah, I have to look in the mirror and be like, I really enjoy doing this. If you don't love doing it, you wouldn't do it. So, and like, I think that's the biggest thing that I've learned. Like I've had teammates that, yeah, they're just like, I don't love doing this anymore, and they step away, and I don't think I've never gotten to that point for sure, but it definitely, it gets tough, but yeah, obviously, this is what we work for, and like we love doing it. I'd rather be doing this than a lot of other things, so I'm gonna, keep doing it while my body's young and while I still can.
No, man, that's good stuff. So I guess to this point, when you say while your body's young, how is your body feeling? What's the typical off season like for you, especially right now, getting ready for next season?
Yeah, I mean, I'm feeling good. It's definitely like the ramp up phase. So obviously took a couple weeks with the wedding and the honeymoon and stuff like that. So to just kind of take a step back and relax. But right before that, it was kind of the heavy lifting phase. And then right now we're starting to like ramp up the throwing and stuff like that. So, I mean, but everything's feeling great. You know, we're really looking forward to it. Like it'll be first big league spring training. So it feels crazy saying that, but it's going to be a lot of fun. And, you know, hopefully I can get my name out there a little bit and make a name for myself. So, yeah.
So Austin and I grew up in the same town. Family's very close. His dad was actually my UPS delivery driver. Austin was 2 grades younger than me, but a lot of people knew he was a good baseball player because he was playing a year up in baseball, which, you know, when you're 8, you're playing 9 and 10, so you're playing against me, and you probably struck me out a lot already that I can think of. But no, man, you were good. You had a good high school career. You start your collegiate career off at Purdue. How'd you end up at Purdue first, and then take me at what happened there, and then what changed after that?
Yeah, I mean, going out of high school, I didn't have too many offers, especially outside of the Midwest. Like, you know, Purdue was probably my biggest offer. And I mean, I like the school. I really love the school. My oldest brother went there, and my sister-in-law went there. So, I mean, I'd been there a little bit, got to experience it. I mean, I was also a huge basketball fan. So, I mean, I loved playing basketball when I was in high school. So, I mean, going to Purdue and kind of having that full circle, a lot of sports are good. Like, those are the kind of atmospheres you want to be around. And it's like each sport pushes each other. So, I mean, yeah, so ultimately, like, I decided to go there. Had a couple buddies go there, obviously, right out of high school. And it was close to home. Like, it was nice if I wanted to go home for a weekend. It was a, hour and a half drive. So, that was great. But, yeah, I mean, obviously things don't work out in the end, but, obviously that was for the best, I think. So
For sure, man.
But, yeah.
So now it's 2019. Now you get to UConn in 2022, right? Or is it 2021?
It was like right after COVID. 21 was my first year there, yeah.
Okay, so talk to me about 2019, 2020. You played some summer league ball. What was that experience like? Why'd you do that? And then how'd you get to UConn?
Yeah. Well, I actually went after Purdue, I went out and like I told them I was transferring and all that. And then so the transfer rules were way different than the transfer portal.
Dude, it's night and day.
Which is it's crazy. It's crazy to say because let's think about it. It was
6 years ago.
Yeah, yeah. And so like at that time you couldn't even transfer D1 to D1 without sitting out a year. And so I really didn't want to do that. I wanted to go and play somewhere, so I went to JUCO for a year at Wabash Valley College, and then that ultimately like was the COVID year. We got sent home like 4 weeks into the season, and so just kind of like sat there, and like that was honestly probably one of the biggest changes in my career because it was when I kind of fell in love with lifting a little bit more.
Oh, really? Okay.
So, like it was a lot more like, what else am I going to do other than get better at baseball during COVID? So I really kind of like put the head down there and got after it a little bit, got stronger. But then, yeah, after that, ended up going out to UConn.
So
yeah.
Before we get into UConn, you go into lifting, right? Like, so did you just like go to the YMCA or the high school and just realize, man, I need to bulk up to get better? Is there a certain like body part that you were working on, or would it just naturally just come to you the time when
it was just kind of everything?
Okay.
Just trying to, upper body, lower body. Like obviously, for pitchers, the lower body, you want it to be stronger, and like you don't really want to get jacked up top per se. I mean, obviously it works for some guys. There's guys like Michael Lorenzen out there that can do both, but yeah. So I mean, it was just kind of like everything, just trying to become a better athlete, get in better shape, put myself in the best opportunity for longevity. And there was a league going on at that time down in Indianapolis. So I would drive down like every weekend and go play down there. And then there ended up being a league out in Virginia that I went out to. There's like 6 teams out there, so I drove out there and played for the rest of the summer. But ultimately, no, like everything happened in my uncle's barn at a gym upstairs. So I just would go out there and work out there and then throw in his backyard and be done with it. So
Dude, that's great. Love me a good old some farm strength right there, if anything.
exactly.
So for me, I think again, I grew up knowing you, kind of floated just from following you, but knew your baseball story, kind of what you're doing. To me, the turning point where your name got really big was when you were at UConn your second year. 2022, you pitch 110 innings. You have, I think, the single season UConn record with 147 strikeouts, an 11-3 record, a 3.83 ERA. Why'd you pick UConn, and what do you think that when you reminisce and look back at that year, how did that help you and get to the next step?
When I was at JUCO, I was very honest with myself, to say the least. Like, that was probably the best thing I ever did, was just be honest with myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew what I wanted. I knew that I wanted to be a weekend starter. I didn't want to be a bullpen guy in college. I knew that I wanted to go and be able to compete for championships, whether that was, at a Power 5 school or anything like that, which ultimately we ended up winning 2 Big East championships at UConn. So, and I just wanted to be able to compete for postseason. Ultimately, like, we didn't have a great team at Purdue when I was there, and we didn't make the Big Ten tournament. And like, it just was not very fun to, kind of just be bad.
Yeah, no, winning makes everything more fun, man. I get you.
Yeah. So, but ultimately, like, when I went out to Martha's Vineyard after my freshman year at Purdue, and kind of like fell in love with the East Coast a little bit. Like, it's hard not to when you're on Martha's Vineyard. I don't know if you've ever been there, but
a long time ago, like in 2012, I went actually, and we went to a Red Sox game that same weekend. So my one time.
There's a lot to do. Like, everything's so close on the East Coast. Like, you can go, Boston to New York City to Philadelphia. Like, and so I was like, let's look at kind of East Coast schools. My coach was like, if you're not going to go to like any of these base schools, what do you want to, like, give me a list of schools. So I kind of like went through like mid-major schools that I felt like I could go and be a Friday guy, Saturday guy. And kind of like put my name on the map. And UConn was one of those schools. And so I gave him a list of like 25, and UConn was one of the schools. I mean, my JUCO coach had all the connections in the world, and if he didn't know them, he was not scared to reach out and, give them your name and tell them you're interested. So he reached out to UConn, and then their coach, or Coach Mack, their pitching coach, he called me, and he was like, "Why the heck do you want to come to UConn?" Like, he's like, "You're this Indiana boy. Like, what the heck?" And I'm like, "Look, dude, like, you guys have a good track record. Like, you look, and that, they've had multiple big leaguers, obviously led by like George Springer, and so it's like, yeah, it's not the most ideal location, but I think it'd be nice to give it a shot, because obviously something's working." So they got me out on a visit the next Tuesday, and I just like fell in love with the place, because it's kind of small town vibes, like Chesterton, where you kind of, everybody knows everybody. It's a smaller school. Like, there's 2 bars on campus. Like,
there you go, the regular bars.
Street. Yeah. So like, they like there's nothing to do except for kind of like hang out with your team. And like I said, like, we go back to the like culture of a school that I kind of talked about with Purdue, and I think I got it to UConn, and sorry Purdue people, but like that culture was just kind of blew away anywhere I've ever been. Like, it was, everywhere from baseball, hockey, field hockey, lacrosse, like, everybody won, and it was obviously, you have Gino there. Hurley was just getting there when I was getting there. So, you have all these winners. Mm-hmm. And so I don't think there's any better place, but obviously I'm a little biased. So, but yeah, at the time it was, all new to me, and I was like, man, this is really cool. So, as soon as I went out on that visit, there was no place that I wanted to be other than there, and it almost didn't happen, but luckily we got a little extra scholarship money squeaked in there last second.
Okay.
And so I ultimately ended up going there. So it was a blast though. I don't regret it. And I kind of another thing was like the scouting was like I'd been in the Midwest for my entire life.
Years.
Hadn't really had any bites in terms of like scouts being like, we like you, stuff like that. So it was like my agent at the time was like, why don't you, like, it wouldn't be a bad idea for you to go somewhere else and get some new eyes on you, like some new scouts. So yeah, we went out there and had a good time. So yeah.
So when you're taking your visit, did they show you a little bit nicer of a gym, or was your uncle's barn gym a little better? So was there one or the other?
Well, it's funny because they were like doing construction. They had everything like torn down. They had everything torn down at the time, so the barn might have been a little bit better. But no, it was definitely like they still had their like underground in the field house, that weight room. Their plans for the new field and stuff like that, they were just like coming out with it and able to show me. And obviously COVID pushed it back a little bit, but yeah, I mean, I was like this looks like a great setup, and their new facilities were going to be unreal. So yeah.
So two things. One, hopefully you talked a little bit of trash to your Purdue friends, and when UConn won the basketball title, I'm sure you did based off that smile alone. And,
yeah.
And then second off, just what was the name of your JUCO coach that played a big role in your life that you just said that helped with the recruiting?
Rob Fournier.
Rob, okay. Shout out Rob.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then after your second season, All-American, team makes the postseason, like you said. I think I watched you on ESPN, actually. I know I did. In that super regional.
Probably the Stanford game.
Yep.
Or was it the Stanford game? That wasn't the good one.
It wasn't ideal, but hey, it wasn't ideal, but hey, your debut for Cleveland's going to be a little better, bro. I believe it.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It's all good. So you get drafted. Was the feeling the same as what we were just talking about on the 40-man roster? Can you kind of replay that day in your mind? Because, I mean, I'm sure you knew you were going to be drafted. It's just probably more the anticipation of who was going to draft you. Walk me kind of through that day and what you did.
Yeah, I mean, that was another stressful one because I mean, you like your agent kind of has a feel for when you're going to get drafted, but there's obviously no guarantees until you're drafted. So, so I went in the 9th round, and so like that day is rounds 4 through 10.
Okay.
So it was like, if I'm not getting drafted today, I'm not getting drafted on day 2. So like, yeah. So like that day's kind of ruined. Mm-hmm. And so I kind of went late in that day, but yeah, I mean, it was surreal. Like, I mean, getting like all my family was there, getting to, hug my brothers, hug my parents, hug my grandparents. Cause I mean, they have done just as much as I have, in terms of the traveling around and driving you everywhere, paying for hotels for you to kind of, make your dream come true. And then when it finally happens, it's, surreal. So yeah, I mean, it was pretty similar to the 40 man, but obviously it's a different, like, it's a different sigh of relief, I would say.
Yeah, no, for sure.
More so like, am I good enough to even be in professional baseball? And then, once it's like that, it's just more of like getting a foot in the door. But yeah.
Was your agent pretty spot on with the round 9? Pick 271, I believe. But was it like, hey, like 8, 9, 10, or was it, hey, you could be anywhere, and swear you had a little bit of false hope by any chance?
No, I mean, he was kind of like, look, like, I think you're going to go day 2.
Okay.
And so it was funny. I actually had a day 1 offer, but since I was a senior, it was a pretty low ball offer. And I was like, And I was like, yeah, I'm good, but I'll wait.
Smart man.
It's like, even if you waited until, like, basically everyone who gets drafted past the 10th round, you make, like, the signing bonus is like 125.
Okay.
So it's like, why would I sign for 25K just to say I'm a second rounder?
Yeah, no.
When it was like that kind of thing. So, but yeah, I mean, so he kind of knew, like, look, I kind of see you going 6 to 10, like, in that range. So, yeah, I mean, I think it was pretty spot on.
Nice, man. So we talk about a journey. I'm sure, you hear all these minor league stories of what, not the horrors of minor league, but it's a lot different than what the MLB is. What's your experience been like? Has it been positive? Roller coaster emotions? Walk me through that.
I love minor league baseball. Like, it's obviously, it's a little different than, I mean, you got to think, I think 2 years before I got in, it was horrible pay. Like, we got, like you had to find your own housing. Like, at least now we get, fed twice a day, like, pretty solid meal.
Year round or just during the season?
In season and then, like, at training camps and stuff like that.
Okay.
And so, like, they pay for your housing. Like, you get put up in an apartment when you're in season and when you're, like, out here training and stuff like that for off-season camps and stuff. And so, like, you're not spending as much money either. So, and then also with the pay increases, it's been better. So
you planned the right time to be born, my friend. And
yeah, exactly. But yeah. So, I mean, I love the, like, kind of small town feel of minor league baseball. Like, getting to go around to, like, all these random places. Like, I look at it and people were asking me, like, where's your favorite places to play? And it's like Altoona, Pennsylvania. Like, it's like
what's special about that one?
Dude, I love that. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but they have, like, the old school, like, wood roller coaster out in right field. Like, it's a small town, small city. Like, they show out to the games. Like, it's so fun, such a fun atmosphere. Like, great ballpark environment, great food. Like, I love playing at that place. So, but yeah, like, and you don't even think of all the, like, of all the places you play, you don't think Altoona is going to be crazy.
I was not expecting that.
I'll never forget it. So, I mean, that's like the best part about it is you get to go around and kind of see all these different, communities all across the country, places you'd never go. So it's a lot of fun. And I mean, it used to be like you were there for 3 days, you're playing, and then you're on the road to the next place. And, like, now we get 6 straight days in, one place. So it's not the worst. But yeah, I enjoy it.
Nice, man. So 2024, you lead all, I think, AA and 14 minor league victories. 2025, you start off in AA Akron, a 1.47 ERA over 11 starts. And then you go up to Columbus for AAA, 4.27 ERA in 17 games. How's that been? Obviously, I'm sure you have your goals of what you want to do, but were you pleased with the season overall? And is there something you're working on just to improve from this past season?
Yeah, I mean, there was obviously in AAA, there's a lot of learning curves, and you're facing guys with a lot of big league time that, you haven't really faced before. And then you work in the ABS, and it was a little bit.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
You're not getting those, half an inch calls off the corner, like, guys, and guys know their zones there. That was the crazy thing. It was like you face really disciplined hitters who understand their zone. And it's nice when you literally have a robot zone that tells them where it's gonna be, like, where their strike zone is. So, and they, like, did a really good job of understanding that. So you don't get as much chase. Like, you really have to fill up the zone, and so there's definitely a learning curve with that. But definitely got into, like, a little bit of a groove and felt like, I was able you get that feeling of like I'm able to do this, like your confidence will waver a little bit, but I mean ultimately, you come back and you get back into your groove and you're like, all right, I'm fine. So yeah, I mean but ultimately like, it was a good season. I mean, I added a couple pitches to the arsenal just to kind of like expand everything. Yeah, I mean, be able to use different parts of the zone because I mean, at that level, you're like I said, it's harder to kind of get the chase and stuff. So you kind of have to learn how to get weak contact in the zone. So yeah.
So we talk about the ABS. Do you like it? I'm curious on your perspective on that because it's obviously something you never had before, and now you're probably making an adjustment just based off that with your game. How has that been, and are you glad it's there, or would you not be opposed to not having it? Especially as a strikeout guy, I guess, too.
I mean, I don't hate it. I don't think it's the worst thing. I think if there's anybody that loses, it's the umpires.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Because they're the ones that, like, because here's the thing is, like, that's, like, they'll call something, and then it gets challenged, and then it overturns, and then they're rattled for, like, the rest of the game, And then it's like it happens a second time, and they're just, like they're in a spiral upstairs. So they have to, kind of, I think it's going to be harder for them. I mean, I think it'll be easier almost for the AAA guys because we've had that full season of being able to use it. But I mean, they used it in big league spring training next year. I don't think it's the worst thing ever. I mean, at the end of the day, like, I don't want to win a World Series on a ball that's called on the white of the other batter's box. Like, you don't feel great about that. So, I mean, I think that obviously there's a lot of things in terms of, strikeouts that are going to be more difficult, but guys aren't going to change their approach at the plate completely because of it. Like, everyone who's in the big leagues, they're there because they're really, really good hitters, and they're not looking to walk anyways. So it's not really going to change that much, I don't think. And plus, you only get 2 a game.
Yeah, so, that's true. It's not like it's an every at bat thing.
Yeah, like once you're out, and you can't do anything about it. So, and I will say, like, you kind of see umpires too that they open it up a little bit once teams out of challenges. Like, they kind of are like, all right, I'm getting back to, like, because they want to be in a comfort zone too of where they can call ball strikes. So.
No, it's funny. It's funny you bring up the umpires because as I've watched baseball this year, a growing thing on either the games or just social media is they release the stats of the umpires. Like, oh yeah, he had a 98% call rate today. It's like, damn, these umpires are really unwashed now. Like, and they were before, but now the stats don't lie. So it's good perspective from your standpoint as well on that. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
So. As we talked about, you're very close. You're going into spring training. What are your goals? Is it something where you kind of know what you need to do, or is it something that, hey, I'm just going to go in, give the same awesome Peterson effort that I've been giving my whole life, and go from there? Or what's kind of your mindset going into February?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously there's always the velo portion that gets pushed, and I think that's kind of just for creating more power in your arsenal, just sets you up for more success. So I mean, ultimately just trying to add strength and push myself there and be able to throw a little bit harder. But yeah, I mean, when you get out on the mound, like, you can't think about it and stuff, like ultimately it's just going to be go out there and try and get outs and put myself in a position to where I could break camp with the team. But I mean, I don't want to have any crazy expectations. Like, if it happens, it happens. But if not, like, go back to Columbus and figure things out. And, there's nothing I can do there except go out and get outs and prove that I can do it in the big league. So, I mean, I'm just looking forward to it. I think it's going to be, a lot of fun to be able to learn from these guys that have been in the big leagues and ultimately, have had a lot of success. Like, we have, Tanner Bybee and Gavin Williams that have shown a lot of success in the starter role. So being able to kind of learn from those guys and pick their baseball minds a little bit, I'm really looking forward to that.
Now I know obviously you'll be working more directly with the pitching coach, but someone like Terry Francona, you probably grew up watching him manage, the Red Sox more than anybody. But is it a pretty surreal moment knowing that he's your manager?
Well, he's with the Reds.
Oh shit, he was. He left. Who is? I apologize. Yeah, my bad. My bad.
He left the Guards a couple of years ago. He retired
That's right. He had the heart condition.
for medical purposes. I say quotations. I'm sure he had something going on, but I mean, I think he just kind of needed a break from managing. But a guy like that, he can't stay away from it for too long. But it was like we did have him here for a couple of years, and I mean, it would have been so cool to play for him. I was I was kind of bummed when he left because there's very few managers that you can kind of look at and be like, wow, like he's been through it, he's been through everything, and no better baseball guy. Like, I mean, I wish I would have been able to play for him, but I think Voter, like Stephen Vogt, he's probably one of those up and coming guys who's going to be in the game for a very, very long time, and I think him being so fresh out of playing kind of allows him to be more relatable to the current age of the game and like be able to relate to the players a little bit more. So yeah.
Are you talking to your coaches every day right now, or is it something where it kind of builds up as closer to spring training starts?
Yeah, so actually right now we're in a dead period. So all of December, it actually started November 22nd. Okay, I think. Yeah, so November 22nd through January 5th is a dead period.
Okay.
So like I'm able to, but it's like, yeah, the rules are all kind of weird. It's like if you're not on the 40-man, like you can technically go and work out, but you're not allowed to like work with anybody. But since I was put on the 40-man, like I'm actually able to go into the facility, throw with coaches that are there, and stuff like that. I mean, right now it's not too much. I'd say I'm more in communication with the strength and conditioning guys, just because like that's where most of the questions pop up. Like right now, it's just kind of throwing 90 feet to like 200 feet. Like there's nothing too crazy that we're trying to work on. Obviously, like getting pitch shapes and stuff like that to be more consistent is always a focus, but that's just kind of like everyday catch play. I wouldn't say it's specific to this time of the year, but ultimately, like, I don't really talk to the pitching coaches too much. Like, they send out the throwing program each month and kind of, let you have at it. I mean, it's ultimately like Cleveland's big on, like it's our career, and if you want to do it, do it. If you don't want to do it, then show up spring training and
Get exposed.
We'll see where you're at. But yeah, so
Cool, man. Are there any teammates part of the organization that you're close with throughout your couple seasons on it?
yeah, I mean, it's funny. So we'll get to this in a second, but like a lot of guys that like I got drafted with. I mean, Parker Messick. We've kind of come up through the system together, all the way from Lynchburg and Low A, and then kind of been together every year since. So, he's been one of my good buddies. And then it's funny, we talked a little earlier about the Stanford. I don't know if I'm not scared to talk about it. So if anyone listening didn't know, I got ejected in the Super Regional against Stanford, cup times, but yeah, so
We all have them.
really, we all have them. Yeah. The kid who was their catcher, me and him are actually pretty good buddies now. So I was like saying, like, the first time this guy saw me, he was like, this guy has got to be like the worst. And then, yeah, we ultimately, like, him and his fiance, they're actually getting married this weekend. So his future wife, and then, and my wife, we're all pretty good friends. So, they live out in Arizona, so we see them quite a bit. But yeah, I mean, everyone I got drafted with is kind of, when you get drafted with those guys and come up with them, you spend 200 days straight almost with the same people. So you kind of have to embrace that. I mean, obviously, we're all kind of brothers. We get on each other's nerves a little bit.
Rightfully so.
Yeah. I mean, it's all out of love, and I think that's kind of fun. It's just kind of the everyday fraternity type feel of just coming to the clubhouse and be able to hang out with the boys and go golf with the boys afterwards. Like it's a lot of fun. So yeah.
Has your golf game improved since over the last couple of years since you graduated from UConn?
Yes, dramatically. It's dramatically gotten better.
Oh,
I don't rage anymore.
there. See, I'm almost out of that phase, but I'm not there yet. But when the putter's hot, I'm a little happier. But
Yeah.
no, man, when you reflect on your journey, your supporting cast. I know your brothers have made a big impact. If you want to talk about them or Jazz Everett, like you said, but who's really, when you reflected, especially like you said when you got the call a couple weeks ago, who has really made that impact in your life and helped get to where you are today?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, my brothers have been the biggest thing. Like it was a lot of monkey see, monkey do growing up. Like I loved doing what my brothers did, and um, my middle brother Jordan's definitely he's the one that he loves to say he likes to keep me down to earth. Uh, I mean, I don't think I ever get really too bad in terms of having to be sent back down to earth, but Jordan does a good job of doing that. But I think they both kind of push me in different ways. Like I would say the competitive aspect was a lot more Jordan. Like I hated losing, and I hated losing growing up because of him. He never made it fun. He was never a nice winner, to say the least. So but Glenn was like a lot more the hardworking, like he really put his nose down to a lot of things, whether it was school, sports, I mean now like raising a family, working, like it's he is like if you look up hard work in a dictionary, like you'll find Glenn Peterson, I think. So I think that's that's always been like really special. But yeah, I mean my grandparents too are probably the biggest impact, I would say. They like anyone who has played with me, baseball, basketball, like they know Ma and Pa Peterson. Like I
remember him from Little League.
Single game. Yeah, they did not miss a game. I mean, I'll never forget like my freshman year when I was at Purdue. We opened up, I think it was Southern Miss, Texas, Oral Roberts, and they went straight down to Mississippi and then drove the next week over to Austin, Texas, and then up to Oral Roberts, and they were just gone for 3 weeks, so it's, they follow me around everywhere. Like growing up, they took me to almost everything. So, they I would say if I'm happiest for everybody that gets to, kind of see me succeed and, see my dreams come true. Like I know there's a lot of people that are proud of me, but I would say like I'm happiest to do it for them and be able to like hopefully reach the big leagues, and they get to, watch me pitch in a big league stadium because they've done everything for me. So yeah.
Now, maybe I don't want to spoil this, but does that first ball go to Grandma and Grandpa?
It's got to.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to put the pressure on you right now. I know I just did, but no, I remember your grandparents a bit too.
Well, here's the thing: is I know my grandpa collects everything. Like like when it comes, like I'm saying like baseball wise, like he is a hoarder. He collects, like they collect every newspaper clipping. Like I got once I started getting like the baseball cards from like Lake County, from all the affiliates and stuff like that, like I've signed more cards for my grandpa than like anybody, just because he like loves to collect them. So I know if I got that ball and I gave it to them, like it would probably end up back in my hands at the end of the day, just because I know he's going to take good care of it. And so yeah.
No, man, congrats. I know grandparents play a pivotal role in people's lives, so that's very cool that not only they support you, but you also recognize that, because I think sometimes we take it for granted that people have such supportive grandparents, and unfortunately, some people don't have that luxury. So, no, I appreciate that. Advice to younger baseball players: is there something that if they're trying to make it either to the college level or from college to the pro level? What's your advice for the next generation, just to keep going and go through adversity and just become a better baseball player?
Yeah, I mean, I would say you have to have a happy medium between like being stubborn and like being honest with yourself. I mean, I think that it's always great to like I kind of talked about, like it was always great to kind of have aspirations to go. Like when I was at JUCO, like a lot of my teammates wanted to go SEC, and like they did end up going SEC, but like you don't end up being put in a spot where like I get to be the Friday night guy on a top 25 baseball team. Like I would not have been, because I didn't throw 95, So now it's like the kind of, have to be honest with yourself is like, yeah, I think everyone would love to go to Vanderbilt or LSU or, any SEC school. And it's like, but at the end of the day, like if you're not good enough, what, you want to go and sit the bench? Like what's more important, like saying you got to go to LSU or saying like I got to be one of the best pitchers in college baseball, So, and that's kind of, but at the same time, like definitely had people tell me I wasn't good enough to be a professional baseball player, So that's kind of where the stubbornness comes in, and you always have to want your dreams and go for it, and because you're never going to have another lifetime to do it. So why not just go for it and work hard at it? But I mean, ultimately, like I think the biggest thing that I always say when I get asked like the kids question is I always kind of like deflect it to the parents. And like I was like truly, truly blessed with like really good parents that like never wore me out of baseball, because I feel like there's so many parents out there that are like, you have to do this. Like you like, even if the kid doesn't like it, and it's like even if your kid's if your kid's good at it and they don't like it, like why are you gonna force them to do that? And it was like my parents were never if I went 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts and pitched that game and only went an inning and gave up 7 runs, like as long as my attitude was good when I was doing it, which it wasn't all out, but it was like my parents never like got on me. Like they weren't like you suck, like we're going to the cage right now to like figure this out. It was like you get into the car and my dad's like, well, that wasn't fun, was it? It's like
a comedic joke of relief.
Yeah, it's like, no, it wasn't. But like I still get to go home and eat dinner. Like my dad's not like, oh, you're not eating tonight, you didn't play here, and like I just think it's so sad, like kind of seeing parents like that. Like I definitely grew up with a lot of guys that had crazy talent in terms of baseball, but it's just like your parents, the parents just drove it out of them because they're so pressured to go do it. Like I didn't start playing like out of town travel ball until I was 14, 15. When it was like, all right, like my parents were probably like, all right, like he's probably good enough to go to college, so like
let's take that next step.
Like let's start getting a little bit of exposure. But I always had more fun like playing Little League. Like I like that was the most fun I ever had playing baseball, was playing Little League. Like there's nothing better than beating your friends.
Yeah. And then go to school on Monday and say, "What's up, loser?" No, I'm just kidding.
Exactly. I'll never forget. I actually it's funny. Like, I know you know the Wellers. When we were in middle school, I had a bet with Sam that if we beat him, I would play for the Flyers and he played for the Slammers. That if we beat them, he had to take up my lunch tray for the rest of the year. And we beat them, and he followed through.
That's my boy Sam Miller. I'm not surprised. Good. Yeah, no, that's good.
Yeah.
Kind of into that then, I guess, to your point, the parents of, not putting too much pressure on a kid. But the other thing, which I know you mentioned before we let you go, basketball. You played that in high school.
Mm-hmm.
To me, tell me if I'm wrong, but I feel like there's this, we got to play one sport, play it all year round, and that's how you're going to become a better player. I disagree with that statement. Curious on your thoughts. I know you played multiple sports growing up. Do you think that helped you in the long run, or did it not really make an impact?
I'm so old school when I get asked this question. I think that, yes, I think you should play as many sports as you can. Like, if I have any regret, it was like, I don't regret it because I probably would have gotten hurt and I wouldn't be where I'm at today. But I regret, like, not playing football. Like, I regret not doing all things and working out in every at the end of the day, you're working different muscles and that you wouldn't get just doing baseball. And I think that no matter what sport you're doing, like, it's just good to compete. Like it's good for you to compete year round, yes, but I think it's a waste of money for parents to do that year round, to do one sport year round. I think that, unless you have a child prodigy that's I think it's different if you're 6'10", probably, training for basketball round. That's probably a good idea. But if you're just looking to be like the best athlete that you can, you have to go and play different sports. And I think that, even in college, one kid that I played with, Reggie Crawford, he was a swimmer, a big time swimmer in high school.
Wow.
Didn't start playing affiliated baseball really until his sophomore, junior year of high school. And then he ends up being the first rounder, and it's who would have thought that? You have to go out and do different things. I 100% agree with that. And I think there's a problem with coaches too that kind of try and drive kids to do one thing. And it's why? I think that's just a selfish coach if you're doing that. You don't really want the best for a kid if you're going to tell them they have to play one sport, So I think, 100%.
I completely agree with you. And I would say, like you said, not only selfish, but what coach doesn't want you to be competitive in other facets of just sports in general. So, no, I appreciate that.
Exactly.
Austin, as we kind of wrap up, first off, thank you very much for coming on. And second off, I know you've had a big last couple weeks, but not only myself, but everyone that listens, I think we're all rooting for you. Best of luck in spring training, whether you start off with AAA or the pro team. Stay healthy, stay humble, stay who you are, and appreciate you sharing your story, and we'll all be rooting for you, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. It was a blast.
We'll get you on here in a year or so after next season to highlight the 2025 season, how it all went down. So,
yeah, it sounds great.
Thanks, man. You have a good day.
You too.